Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for a positive spin. Today we're going to be talking about the much hated House 4, The Repossession. Now, my history with this film is pretty much non existent, although I have seen it 3 times now. I saw it for the first time when I got the House box set, and I actually really enjoyed it. Then I watched it for the second time with Joe when we did Franchise Frenzy. And I'll have to say that I really wasn't all that impressed with it, which is weird. This is one of those movies that kind of move up and down for me. And now the third time I've watched it, and I watched it again with Joe for positive spin. Now, it's not that I never disliked the film, it's just that for the second time it didn't really do much for me, and I found myself actually enjoying it a lot more this time. I'm kind of wondering why, and I can't explain it. Um, the most I can do is put a positive spin on it because there are a lot of positives, in my opinion. First of all, my first positive, first and foremost, is the house. Now, a lot of people will probably disagree because it's not the same house and it's in a different location. If you remember correctly, the first house was in a pretty small neighborhood, but a typical white picket fence sort of neighborhood. This one is a little bit different. It's a very dark house, it's a very spooky looking house, and it's kind of in the middle of a desert, or at least that's kind of the way it seems. It doesn't bother me, and I like the way the house looks, and I will get to this later, but I will say now that this does feel more like a house film than any of the others. Okay, the second thing we're going to get into is the cast. And while this doesn't have a ton of big time stars in it, it has William Catt. And that's very important to me because he is what made the first house so good. So that is a huge positive for me. The next positive would be, of course, a little bit of gratuitous nudity. When his wife, who's right there, I cannot remember her name, is in the shower, and I don't really know if it's her. It's probably a body double. By now, with as many movies as I've seen, I can pretty much spot the shots when they're doing a body double because they frame them a certain way. And this kind of seemed like it might have been a body double. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I mean, I'm fine with that. But you do have the nudity, which is always nice in a horror film. It's not long, it's not drawn out, but it's there. I like the atmosphere and the dynamic of the family. Now, the atmosphere is a lot of clouds and smoke and just the overall ambience of the house. There's a lot of dust and darkness. And as far as the family dynamic go, I was talking to Joe about this. The only thing, and I don't normally get into things I don't like about the film, but the only thing that bothers me about this film is the daughter. It's not that I don't like her, I think she's great, but she definitely plays younger than she looks. I think they could have done a better job. Um, but other than that, I do like the family dynamic. I like how Roger's brother is a complete slime and he's trying to get the house and do what he wants to with it. So, I mean, I like that aspect of the story. I like the big reveal, which I'm not going to spoil because I know there's probably a lot of people who haven't seen House 4. So, I'm not going to spoil what happens to some of the characters and actually the big reveal at the end or towards the end. I really like the story in this. Um, the fact of needing the house is pretty typical with a story like this, but I'm talking more about the sentimental value of the house, and keeping your word as a man to your grandfather that you weren't going to sell it. And I really like that sort of storyline, and also a man's love for his family, which comes into play in this movie a lot. Like I said, I don't want to give anything away. Overall, this movie got a 3.9. Um, that's pretty disappointing, and I think that that's really low. Another positive that I wanted to mention before I end the video is the overall effects. I think they're really fun, especially the Pizza Man, and I'll leave it at that. If you've seen it, you know about the Pizza Man, which is actually played by Kane Hodder. Um, but if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for anyone because it is so much fun. Um, yeah, overall, this movie I think is a blast. I think, like I said, I don't really have an answer why it didn't hit with me the second time, other than the fact that maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. And that's my fault. But I really did enjoy it the first time and the third time I watched it. And it's something I can see myself watching, in the future. So definitely check out House 4, The Repossession. Or don't. I'm not sure if they do sell this individually, but the only way to get it was part of the overseas house um, set. So I know it's available on MediaBook from Germany in that beautiful thing that they made that has a big book to it. Really cool. Not sure how much that goes for, but I'm sure it's a pretty penny. But yeah, definitely check out House 4 if there's a way. I'm not sure if there's a way, but if there's a way, I think it's a fun sequel to the first film. And don't forget to check out Joe's positive spin for House 4, The Repossession. Remember, guys, physical media matters. And until next time, peace.